Alright guys, Bitcoin just bounced off a very important level and something very interesting is happening right now. Let me show you exactly what's going on. So in the previous video, Bitcoin was trading at this support level right here, the 618 to 65 fib zone, right after it swept this liquidity level down here. And we talked about how we could expect a bounce from there with the bullish divergences that were forming on the MACD on multiple timeframes. And we did get a slight bounce. But I also told you that I am not really interested in longing here, only in shorting in case Bitcoin bounces strong enough and reaches some of the levels above that I will show you again later in the video. And good thing we didn't long, because the bounce ended up being very shallow. Bitcoin got rejected back to the downside once again and actually went lower than where we were yesterday and wrecked a lot of people that were longing right at this area. Now what you're going to see right here is that Bitcoin then came down and hit the value area low almost to the exact dollar. And that's exactly where we got a bounce that we are seeing right now. And here's something very interesting. If we connect the high to the point of this last rejection and drag a trend line down from there, what you're going to see is that Bitcoin was trading under a very clean resistance trend line for the past couple of days. And right now, it does look like Bitcoin is finally breaking above the trend line to the upside, which is of course a bullish indication and something definitely worth keeping an eye on. And let me show you one more thing. If we zoom out a little, what you're going to see is that since this low right here at around 65,000 US dollars, Bitcoin has been making only higher lows and higher highs. So we have a very clear bullish structure going on. A higher low, a higher high, another higher low, and another higher high. And again, another higher low, another higher high. And this recent low that we just bounced from is another higher low, which means Bitcoin is still respecting that trend. So the overall market structure is still bullish for now. Now let me show you the levels I was talking about before, where I think Bitcoin could actually go if the bullish scenario plays out. The first one is this liquidity level at the recent high at around 78.3 thousand US dollars. And just slightly above that, we have this daily level that we mentioned in the previous videos already at 78.6 thousand US dollars, which Bitcoin almost stacked on the last push up, but not yet. And a little higher than that, we have this liquidity level at 79.3 thousand US dollars. So a lot of very important levels sitting above that I will be watching very closely. And if Bitcoin does push up into that area, I would definitely be interested in firing a major short position right there. And we also have to take a look at the liquidation heat map, because this ties in perfectly with what we just talked about. What you're going to see is that above the recent high at around 78.5 thousand US dollars, there is over 200 million in short liquidations stacked up. And that is a very significant amount of liquidity just waiting to get grabbed. So if Bitcoin does push higher and reach our daily level at 78,650 US dollars, all of that liquidity would get swept along the way. That's a very attractive target for price to go and take. And before I continue with a slightly more bearish scenario I'm also paying attention to, I would really appreciate it if you guys are finding this helpful to like the video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications so you don't miss the next one. Alright, let's get back to the video. If we pull up the fixed range volume profile right here, what you're going to see is that Bitcoin is actually trading right at the value area high right now. And that could definitely act as a resistance, so a clean break above would be some kind of a bullish indication. But that's not exactly the area I'm watching right now. The area I'm really watching is right here. What you're going to see is we have the first liquidity level at around 76.2 thousand US dollars and the second liquidity level a little higher at approximately 76.4 thousand US dollars. And if we take the fib retracement and drag it from the top to the bottom of this last move to the downside, the golden pocket comes in just above these two liquidity levels at around 76.5 thousand US dollars. And the golden pocket on retracements has a very high probability of getting hit. And on the way there, Bitcoin would also sweep both of these liquidity levels that were left behind during the recent move to the downside. So we have the golden pocket and two liquidity levels stacking right on top of each other. That's a very strong magnet, but also a very important resistance area, and in my opinion, this is exactly where Bitcoin could get rejected if the slightly more bearish scenario plays out. And another thing we also have to mention here is this CME gap that Bitcoin left open through the weekend, sitting at approximately 77.3 thousand US dollars. That's still around 2% above the current price. And as we've been talking about throughout these videos, more than 90% of CME gaps do get filled sooner or later. So that is definitely another magnet for the price and another reason to expect Bitcoin to push higher from here and fill the gap. So that's where we are. Bitcoin bounced off the value area low to the exact dollar. The bullish market structure is still intact with higher lows and higher highs, and Bitcoin is breaking above a clean resistance trend line. If we push higher, the first resistance area is the two liquidity levels at around 76.2 and 76.4 thousand US dollars, and the golden pocket around 76.5 thousand US dollars. Above that, we have the CME gap at 77.3 thousand US dollars, the liquidity at 78.3 thousand US dollars, and the daily level at 78,650 US dollars. As always, this is not a financial advice, and manage your risk. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.